If you're listening to this message today, then you are someone who wants more from life. More clarity, more success, more purpose, more discipline. But before you receive any of those things, you must first master the single most important key to unlocking them all. Consistency. This is not a word to be taken lightly. It is not a passing trend. It is not something you pick up when you feel inspired and put down when you feel tired. No, consistency is the backbone of greatness. It is the silent architect behind every breakthrough. It is the hidden force that determines whether your goals will become reality or fade into forgotten dreams. The first thing you must understand is this. Success is not built in explosive spurts. It is carved into existence day after day, decision after decision, habit after habit. The man who achieves anything worthwhile is not the man who works hardest for a moment. He is the one who returns again and again to the work regardless of circumstance. He shows up when it's raining. He shows up when it's boring. He shows up when no one is watching. He shows up when it hurts. That is the law of consistency, and it is the law that governs achievement. The world around you will tempt you to seek shortcuts. It will lure you with promises of fast success and instant gratification. But those are illusions, mirages in the desert. Real success is not found in the sprint. It's earned in the marathon. And that marathon requires one trait above all others: the ability to keep going, to keep pressing, to keep moving forward no matter how slow the pace or how heavy the resistance. That is what consistency looks like. That is what you must embody. Now I want you to hear me clearly. Consistency is not the same as perfection. You will make mistakes. You will miss a step. You will face days where your best is not as sharp as it was the day before. But that is not failure. Failure only comes when you stop altogether. Missing one day is human. Missing two is a warning sign. But quitting, that is a decision. And it is a decision you do not have the luxury to entertain if you are serious about living the life you claim to desire. You may ask, how do I force consistency into my life when everything around me is chaotic? The answer is simple, though not always easy. You start by making the commitment, not the promise you make at midnight when inspiration strikes, but the one you keep the next morning when your alarm rings. Your energy is low and your old patterns scream louder than your vision. You must decide that consistency is no longer optional. It is now part of your identity. How do you change your identity? Through repetition. What you do consistently, you eventually become. If you act with discipline, you become disciplined. If you act with clarity, you become clear. If you show up with resolve, you become resolved. Identity is not fixed. It is shaped by your behavior. So if you want to become someone who attracts success, you must first become someone who deserves success. And you earn that right through consistent behavior aligned with your purpose. Let's talk about purpose for a moment. You cannot be consistent in anything until you are committed to something. The reason many men drift is not because they are lazy. It is because they are aimless. They haven't anchored themselves to a meaningful target. They haven't decided what they truly want. Without purpose, there is no reason to endure the grind. Without a vision that compels you, the daily routines feel empty. So ask yourself this question: what is it that I must become in this life? Not what others expect, not what the world says is reasonable, but what your spirit demands. That answer is your compass. And once you have it, you must guard it with everything. From that purpose, you design your actions. You reverse engineer your goals into daily disciplines. You remove the guesswork. You set your priorities. You build habits that support your mission, not distract from it. And you treat each day not as a throwaway, but as a sacred step toward your ultimate vision. One of the great lies of the modern age is that there is always more time, that you can begin tomorrow, that it's okay to delay before you begin. That kind of thinking is how dreams die slowly, silently, unnoticed. Consistency kills procrastination. It ends the debate. It says, this is who I am. This is what I do every day without compromise. The truth is, you don't need more information. You don't need a new system or another secret. You already know enough. What you need is follow-through. What you need is daily application. Success does not belong to the one who knows the most. It belongs to the one who executes the most. You are always programming your future. Every action you take, every thought you allow, every habit you reinforce is planting seeds. Most people never reap the harvest they desire because they keep changing the seed. They get impatient. They quit too soon. They try one thing for a week and move on to the next. But success is not in trying everything. It's in doing the right things long enough to see them work. That's the power of consistency. It multiplies the small into the significant. It transforms average into exceptional. When you are consistent, you don't just build routines, you build character. You learn to trust yourself, and that trust becomes your foundation. When you say you will do something and you do it every day, you are teaching your mind that your word has power. Consistency is a muscle. It grows through resistance. You must push through fatigue. You must overcome distractions. You must act even when you don't feel like it. Nothing significant is built overnight. But if you stay the course, brick by brick, day by day, the structure will rise. And it will not be by accident. It will be the result of your discipline. Consistency frees you. It frees you from emotion, from chaos, from waiting to feel ready. You no longer rely on motivation. You rely on structure. So now ask yourself, what are you becoming? Because your habits are shaping your future right now. You are either training yourself for success or training yourself for failure. There is no neutral ground. A slow man who never stops will always outpace the fast man who quits. So don't chase speed, build steadiness. This world rewards the consistent, not because they are better, but because they are relentless. So the question is simple. Will you stay the course? Will you choose discipline over distraction? Will you act when others delay? Because that is what it takes. Consistency only begins once the reward arrives. Can you maintain consistency when you no longer need to prove anything? That's the real test. Not whether you can build momentum when you're hungry, but whether you can sustain it when you're full. You must make consistency a permanent part of your character. Not something you do to get results, but something you do because it's who you are. When discipline becomes part of your nature, the results take care of themselves. You no longer chase victory, you attract it. You don't force respect, you earn it. You don't seek opportunity, you become the kind of person opportunity seeks. And how do you get there? By making a choice every day. By reminding yourself that today matters. By remembering that the man who wins is not the one who does the most once in a while, but the one who does the right things without fail. The reward only comes after you've proven that you won't stop. That's how the universe works. It gives to those who have shown they can handle it. And the only way to prove that you're ready is through consistency. Not for a week, not for a season, but until it becomes your reflex. Make it your goal to become unshakable. Make it your aim to become consistent in your thoughts, your habits, your attitude, your energy. When you control those things, when they stop fluctuating with circumstances, you become powerful. You become magnetic. You become dependable, predictable, and valuable. You become the kind of man the world cannot ignore. But to reach that level, you must commit today to remove the things that cause inconsistency. Eliminate distractions. Cut off the habits that weaken your focus. Let go of the voices that encourage excuses. Replace them with structure, systems, accountability, and purpose. Build a life that makes it easier to be disciplined than it is to be scattered. Your environment matters. Set it up to reflect the man you are becoming. And when failure visits, and it will, you do not retreat. You adjust. You recalibrate. But you do not stop. Stopping is not in your vocabulary anymore, because you have decided that success is no longer a wish. It is your responsibility. It is your duty. It is the result of your daily alignment.